Imagine waking up every morning knowing exactly what you need to do to create the life you've always dreamed of. No confusion, no wasted time, just clarity, purpose, and action. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, not really. Over 300 years ago, Benjamin Franklin figured out how to live this way, and he left behind a blueprint that's just as powerful today as it was back then. Franklin wasn't born into wealth, privilege, or even opportunity. In fact, he started out as a runaway teenager with nothing but the clothes on his back and a fierce determination to better himself. Fast forward a few decades, and he became one of the most influential figures in history, a writer, inventor, scientist, diplomat, and founding father of the United States. But what's most fascinating isn't just his accomplishments, it's how he achieved them. You see, Franklin had a secret. Well, actually, he had a system, a way of thinking and living that allowed him to master every aspect of his life, from time management and productivity to self-improvement and personal growth. And here's the best part. Everything he did, you can do too. In this video, we're diving deep into Franklin's secrets to mastering life before it's too late. So whether you're looking to be more productive, achieve your goals, or simply live with more purpose, Franklin's wisdom has something for you. 1. You may delay, but time will not. Let's start with one of Benjamin Franklin's most famous beliefs. You may delay, but time will not. Think about that for a moment. Time doesn't wait for anyone. It's always ticking, whether you're ready for it or not. Franklin understood this better than most, and he built his entire life around one simple idea: make every moment count. So how did he do it? Well, Franklin created a daily schedule that was all about balance and purpose. He wasn't just busy for the sake of being busy. He was intentional about how he spent his time. His schedule started early, around 5 a.m., with a simple question: what good shall I do this day? This wasn't just a casual thought, it was a mission statement. Franklin wanted every day to have meaning, and he planned it that way. He divided his time into blocks, focusing on specific activities like work, study, reflection, and even relaxation. He believed that having structure didn't limit freedom, it created it. Let's break down his method. First, he prioritized his mornings for self-reflection and planning. He used this time to set goals, think about his purpose, and prepare himself mentally for the day ahead. Then, throughout the day, he tackled his work with focus and determination. But here's the interesting part: Franklin didn't just work endlessly. He built in time for breaks, socializing, and learning. By evening, he returned to reflection, asking himself, what good have I done today? This simple practice of morning intention and evening reflection helped him stay on track and constantly improve. It's a method that's still powerful today. Imagine starting your day with clarity and ending it with gratitude and self-awareness. 2. The 5-hour rule. Franklin had another habit that modern productivity experts rave about: the 5-hour rule. Every single day, Franklin dedicated time to learning. He read, wrote, experimented, and practiced new skills. It wasn't about cramming information, it was about deliberate learning. He wanted to grow, even if it was just a little bit each day. Now, here's the takeaway for you. Franklin's approach to time management wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. He knew he wouldn't always stick to his plan, but he also knew that having a plan made him more productive than drifting through life aimlessly. Think about your own schedule. Do you have a clear plan for your day? Do you make time to reflect, learn, and grow? If not, Franklin's method might be the inspiration you need to take control of your time and your life. Because, as Franklin would say, lost time is never found again. 3. The 13 virtues on character and success. Let's talk about one of the most remarkable things Benjamin Franklin ever created: his list of 13 virtues. Franklin believed that to master life, you first had to master yourself. He wasn't interested in being perfect. He knew that wasn't possible. But he wanted to improve, bit by bit, and these 13 virtues were his personal blueprint for becoming a better version of himself. Now, what's fascinating is how Franklin approached this. He didn't try to fix everything at once. Instead, he focused on just one virtue each week, cycling through all 13 every 3 months. He even kept a little notebook to track his progress, marking down every time he fell short. It was like his own self-improvement journal, something we might call a habit tracker today. So, what are these virtues? Let's go through 7 of the most powerful ones and see how they can apply to your life. Temperance. This was Franklin's first virtue, and it's all about moderation. He believed in not overdoing anything, whether it was food, drink, or even work. The idea was simple: if you avoid excess, you stay in control. And let's be honest, how often do we let overindulgence throw us off track? Whether it's binge watching, overeating, or overcommitting, Franklin's advice still holds true today. Second is silence, not in the sense of being quiet all the time, but in being thoughtful about when and why you speak. Franklin believed that words should serve a purpose, either to help others or to improve a situation. Imagine how much drama and misunderstanding we could avoid if we practiced this today. Another is order. Franklin was big on keeping things organized. He knew that a cluttered life leads to a cluttered mind. Whether it's your workspace, your schedule, or even your thoughts, putting things in order helps you focus on what really matters. Virtue number 4. Sincerity. Franklin understood that trust is built on honesty. He believed that words should be used for good, not for deception or empty flattery. If you mean what you say and say what you mean, people will respect you. Sincerity isn't just about telling the truth, it's about being real. Franklin warned against gossip, exaggeration, and manipulation. Pretending to be something you're not will only take you so far, but being sincere, it earns you real friends, lasting respect, and the kind of reputation that opens doors. Next is frugality. Benjamin Franklin believed that every dollar has a purpose. He lived by a simple rule: waste neither time nor money. To him, being frugal didn't mean being cheap, it meant being smart. Every unnecessary expense was like throwing away opportunity. Think about it, how much money slips through your fingers on things you don't need. Franklin knew that small savings add up to big wealth. He didn't just save money, he invested it in his future. The key to financial success isn't just earning more, it's keeping more. Spend wisely and you'll always have the freedom to choose your path. Virtue 6. Resolution. This one is about commitment. Franklin believed that once you decide to do something, you should stick with it. In today's world of distractions, how often do we make a plan and then abandon it at the first sign of difficulty? Franklin's advice: stay the course. Virtue 7. Industry. Industry is all about productivity. Franklin had no patience for idleness or procrastination. He believed that every moment should be spent working on something useful, whether it's a task, a skill, or even rest. Yes, rest is productive when it's intentional. And the list goes on. Other virtues include justice, cleanliness, humility, and more. Each one focuses on a specific area of self-improvement, but here's what's so genius about Franklin's system. It's not rigid or overwhelming. He didn't expect to be perfect, and he didn't beat himself up when he fell short. Instead, he treated each virtue as a guide, a way to stay focused on becoming just a little better every day. Now think about your own life. What if you created your own list of virtues? Maybe you don't need 13, but even a few guiding principles could help you live with more purpose and clarity. The goal is progress, not perfection. As Franklin himself said, without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. 4. Lifelong learning and growth. Benjamin Franklin had a simple belief: an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. For Franklin, learning wasn't just something you did in school or to pass the time, it was a lifelong mission. He believed that the more you learned, the more you could grow, adapt, and contribute to the world around you. And let me tell you, Franklin's approach to learning is something we can all benefit from today. So, how did Franklin approach lifelong learning? It started with one of his greatest loves: reading. As a young man, Franklin didn't have access to fancy schools or endless libraries, but he made do with what he had. He borrowed books whenever he could, often reading late into the night by candlelight. Books were his gateway to new ideas, and he soaked up knowledge like a sponge. But Franklin didn't just read, he acted on what he learned. He constantly experimented, tested new ideas, and looked for ways to apply knowledge to real-life situations. For example, when he became fascinated with science, he didn't just sit back and watch. He started experimenting with electricity, leading to his famous kite experiment. Franklin also believed in sharing knowledge. That's why he helped create the first public subscription library in America. Think about that for a moment. A library that anyone could use, regardless of their background. Franklin believed that access to knowledge shouldn't be limited to the privileged few. It should be available to everyone. Another key to Franklin's lifelong learning was his ability to connect with others. He founded a group called the Junto, a club where like-minded individuals could come together to discuss ideas, share knowledge, and help each other grow. The Junto wasn't just about networking. It was about building a community of curious minds. Franklin understood that the best way to grow was to surround yourself with people who challenge and inspire you. Now let's talk about one of Franklin's most underrated habits, asking questions. Franklin had a knack for curiosity, and he wasn't afraid to admit when he didn't know something. He asked thoughtful questions, listened carefully, and kept an open mind. That's a skill we could all use more of today, don't you think? Finally, Franklin believed that learning wasn't just for personal gain, it was about making the world a better place. Whether he was inventing the lightning rod, improving the postal system, or drafting the U.S. Constitution, Franklin's knowledge always served a larger purpose. He didn't just learn for the sake of learning. He used what he knew to solve problems and improve lives. So, what can we take from Franklin's approach to lifelong learning? Here are a few lessons. Never stop reading. Books are one of the easiest ways to expand your mind. Make time for them. Experiment and take action. Don't just learn something new, find ways to use it in your life. Surround yourself with curious people. Join a group, find a mentor, or just spend time with people who inspire you. Ask questions. Curiosity is the key to growth. Never be afraid to admit you don't know something. Franklin's relentless pursuit of knowledge is proof that it's never too late to learn, adapt, and grow. Whether you're just starting your journey or you're well along the way, remember this: the more you invest in your mind, the richer your life will become. As Franklin himself said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn." So, are you ready to get involved? 5. Practical wisdom for life today. Benjamin Franklin was a man of action. His wisdom wasn't just about grand ideas or philosophies. It was about practical advice that could guide your everyday life. Franklin believed that success and happiness weren't about luck or talent. They were about habits, decisions, and how you showed up each day. Let's start with one of his most famous pieces of advice. A penny saved is a penny earned. Now, this isn't just about saving money, it's about living wisely. Franklin believed that small, consistent decisions could make a big difference over time. Whether it was spending less than you earn, avoiding waste, or making thoughtful financial choices, Franklin's advice was clear: be mindful with your resources. Think about it. How many times do we spend money on things we don't really need? Franklin's message is simple. Focus on what truly matters, and you'll build a foundation of financial stability and freedom. Another practical lesson Franklin taught us was the value of adaptability. Franklin wasn't afraid to try new things or change course when something wasn't working. He saw mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. Take his experiments with electricity, for example. They didn't always work out the way he planned, but Franklin didn't see failure as a dead end. He saw it as a stepping stone. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you turned a mistake into a lesson? Franklin's approach reminds us that it's okay to fail. What matters is what you do next. Franklin also had a knack for simplifying life's challenges. One of his mottos was, "Do not squander time, for that's the stuff life is made of." Think about that for a moment. Time is the one thing we can never get back. Franklin believed in using it wisely, whether that meant working on something meaningful, learning a new skill, or spending time with loved ones. He reminds us to be intentional with our time, because every minute we waste is a minute we'll never see again. Another piece of wisdom Franklin emphasized was the importance of contributing to others. Franklin wasn't just focused on his own success. He believed in giving back to society. Whether it was founding libraries, improving the postal system, or mentoring younger people, Franklin wanted his work to have a lasting impact. He didn't just live for himself, he lived to make the world a little better. And here's the thing, you don't need to be a genius or an inventor to make a difference. Franklin's message was that small actions add up. Whether it's helping a neighbor, volunteering your time, or sharing what you know, every little bit counts. Finally, Franklin believed that humility was key to living a good life. He often reminded himself not to act like he knew everything. In fact, one of the virtues he practiced was acknowledging when others had better ideas. This humility allowed him to keep learning, growing, and connecting with people from all walks of life. So, what can we take from Franklin's practical wisdom? Be mindful with your resources, time, money, and energy. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Invest your time in meaningful work and relationships. Contribute to others because the impact you leave behind matters. And finally, stay humble. There's always something new to learn. Benjamin Franklin's life is proof that greatness doesn't come from perfection. It comes from the small, consistent choices you make every day. So ask yourself, what's one small habit you can start today that will help you live with more purpose? As Franklin would say, well done is better than well said. It's time to turn wisdom into action. So what can we take away from the life of Benjamin Franklin? Franklin wasn't born into privilege. He didn't have a head start in life, but through discipline, curiosity, and a constant drive to improve, he became one of the most influential figures in history. We've explored how he managed his time with precision, his dedication to self-improvement through the 13 virtues, his love for lifelong learning, and his practical advice for living a meaningful life. Each of these principles is something you can start applying today. But remember, Franklin wasn't perfect, and he never pretended to be. He made mistakes, faced challenges, and struggled with bad habits like anyone else. What made him different was his willingness to reflect, adapt, and grow. He didn't let setbacks define him, and neither should you. The truth is, life moves fast. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into years. Franklin's life reminds us that the sooner we take charge of how we spend our time, the sooner we can create a life of purpose, fulfillment, and impact. So here's a question to leave you with. What's one thing you can start doing today to master your own life? Maybe it's setting a daily goal like Franklin did. Maybe it's taking time to reflect on your actions. Or maybe it's just being more curious, observant, and asking questions to learn every day. Whatever it is, don't wait. As Franklin himself said, "You may delay, but time will not." Thanks for joining me on this journey into the life and wisdom of Benjamin Franklin. His secrets to mastering life are as relevant now as ever, and they're yours to use. Until next time, remember, the key to mastering your life is already in your hands. The question is, are you ready to use it?